Have you ever had a moment that completely altered the course of your life? A split-second decision that led to something you never could have imagined? That's exactly what happened to Mark Reynolds, a struggling single father who was just trying to make ends meet when fate intervened in the most unexpected way. If you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more life-changing tales that will touch your heart. Mark stared at his boss in disbelief, the question hanging in the air between them. Why don't you have a family photo on your desk like everyone else? Catherine asked, nursing her coffee at his kitchen table, completely sober now and seemingly unaware that her simple morning curiosity would shatter and rebuild his entire world in ways neither of them could possibly imagine. 24 hours earlier, Mark had been rushing to finish his work, desperate to pick up his daughter Emma from after-school care before they charged him the late fee he couldn't afford. His phone buzzed with a text from his boss, Catherine Wells, asking him to come to her office immediately. Mark's stomach dropped. He couldn't afford to lose this job, not as a single dad with mounting bills and a daughter who deserved so much more than he could give her. Catherine Wells was known throughout Reynolds marketing as a brilliant but demanding CEO. At 42, she had built the company from nothing into a regional powerhouse, but her perfectionism and occasional cold demeanor had earned her nicknames like Ice Queen and the Terminator among the staff. Mark had always kept his head down, did his work well, and tried to stay off her radar. When he entered her office, he found Catherine slumped in her chair, staring blankly at her computer screen, an almost empty bottle of expensive scotch on her desk. Her normally immaculate appearance was disheveled, mascara smudged beneath her eyes. "Reynolds," she said, her words slightly slurred. "Sit down." Mark perched nervously on the edge of the chair across from her desk. "Ms. Wells, is everything okay?" She laughed bitterly. "No, everything is not okay. The Harrington account just pulled out. $3 million, gone. The board is going to crucify me." She took another swig directly from the bottle. 10 years of building this company, and it could all come crashing down because of one mistake. Mark glanced anxiously at his watch. He had 15 minutes before the late fees kicked in at Emma's after-school program. "I'm sorry to hear that, Ms. Wells. Is there something I can do to help?" Catherine looked at him as if seeing him for the first time. "You're the one with the little girl, right? Always rushing out at 5 on the dot." "Yes, ma'am." "Emma." "She's 8. Catherine nodded slowly. "My driver went home sick. I need to get out of here before anyone sees me like this. Can you drive me home, Reynolds?" Mark's mind raced. Emma was waiting, but saying no to the CEO when she was in this state seemed like career suicide. "I need to pick up my daughter first. She's at after-school care, and they charge extra if I'm late." Catherine waved her hand dismissively. "Fine, fine. We'll get your kid first. Just get me out of here." The drive to Emma's school was tense. Catherine sat in the passenger seat of Mark's old Honda Civic, looking completely out of place in her designer suit. Emma's eyes widened when she saw the strange woman in their car, but she politely introduced herself as Mark had taught her. "Hello, I'm Emma Reynolds. It's nice to meet you." Catherine seemed startled by the child's formality. "Catherine Wells," she replied, studying Emma with unexpected interest. When they arrived at Catherine's luxury high-rise apartment, Mark realized she was in no condition to be left alone. She could barely stand, and he worried she might fall or hurt herself. Emma tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, we can't leave her like this. Remember when Uncle Jake was sad and drank too much after Aunt Melissa left? You helped him." Mark sighed. His daughter's compassion always amazed him. "Ms. Wells, I don't think you should be alone right now. Would you like to come to our place? It's not fancy, but I can make you some coffee and something to eat." To his surprise, Catherine agreed without argument. Their small two-bedroom apartment in a modest neighborhood was a far cry from her penthouse, but she didn't comment on it. Emma immediately took charge, showing Catherine to the couch and bringing her a glass of water while Mark made coffee. "Your daughter is very mature for her age," Catherine observed, her speech still slightly slurred but her eyes more focused. "She's had to be," Mark replied quietly. "It's been just the two of us since she was 3. As the evening progressed, Catherine sobered up enough to eat the simple pasta dinner Mark prepared. Emma chatted happily about school and her dream of becoming a veterinarian, seemingly unfazed by the presence of her father's intimidating boss. Mark noticed Catherine watching their interactions with an expression he couldn't quite read. When Emma went to bed, Catherine finally spoke about what had happened at the office. The Harrington account had been her personal project, a client she'd courted for years. Losing them felt like a personal failure, and with the board meeting scheduled for the following week, she feared for the company's future, and her position. "I've given everything to that company," she confessed. "Every relationship, every chance at a normal life. And now it might all be for nothing." Mark listened, offering simple but thoughtful advice from his own experiences with setbacks. As the night wore on, Catherine's hard exterior seemed to soften. She asked about Emma's mother, and Mark explained that his wife had left them when Emma was 3, unable to handle the responsibilities of parenthood. "It was hard at first," Mark admitted. "I had no idea how to be both parents to a toddler while working full-time. But we figured it out together, Emma and me. She's the reason I keep going." When Catherine finally fell asleep on their couch, Mark covered her with a blanket and went to bed himself, wondering what consequences tomorrow would bring for this strange turn of events. Morning came with the smell of coffee and the sound of laughter. Mark emerged from his bedroom to find Emma and Catherine at the kitchen table, sharing breakfast. Emma was showing Catherine her science project, and to Mark's astonishment, his normally intimidating boss was fully engaged, asking questions and offering suggestions. When Emma went to get ready for school, Catherine looked up at Mark with clear, sober eyes. "Why don't you have a family photo on your desk like everyone else?" she asked suddenly. The question caught him off guard. I don't know. I guess I've always tried to keep my personal life separate from work. I didn't want anyone to think I was using Emma as an excuse for special treatment." Catherine nodded thoughtfully. "I've always assumed people with families couldn't be fully committed to their jobs. That's why I never prioritized having one myself." She paused, looking around their modest but warm home. "But watching you with Emma, seeing how you balance everything, maybe I've been wrong all these years." That conversation marked the beginning of a transformation. Catherine asked Mark to help her prepare for the board meeting, valuing his straightforward approach and fresh perspective. Together, they developed a new strategy to replace the lost Harrington account, working late into the evenings at Mark's kitchen table after Emma went to bed. Catherine began to open up about her own life, her childhood with distant parents who valued achievement above all else, her series of failed relationships with men who couldn't handle her success, her growing realization that the empire she'd built felt increasingly hollow without anyone to share it with. Mark shared his own struggles as a single parent trying to advance in his career while being present for his daughter. The long nights working after Emma was asleep, the school events he had to miss, the constant financial pressure, and the guilt that accompanied every decision. The day of the board meeting arrived, and Catherine presented their new strategy with confidence. To Mark's surprise, she publicly credited him with key elements of the plan, bringing him into the meeting and introducing him to the board members as her invaluable partner in developing the new direction. The board approved their proposal, and in the weeks that followed, Catherine implemented changes throughout the company. She established flexible working hours for parents, created a childcare subsidy program, and promoted Mark to a newly created position as Director of Employee Engagement. But the most significant changes were personal. Catherine became a regular visitor at Mark and Emma's home, bringing dinner on nights when Mark worked late and helping Emma with her science homework. She shared her business knowledge with Emma, nurturing the girl's growing interest in both animals and entrepreneurship. 6 months after that fateful night, Catherine invited Mark and Emma to dinner at her apartment. She seemed nervous, which was unusual for her always confident demeanor. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said that morning," she told Mark after Emma had gone to explore Catherine's balcony garden. "About keeping your personal and professional lives separate. I've done the same thing, but for different reasons. I've kept people at a distance because I was afraid of being vulnerable, of letting anyone see beyond the CEO." She took a deep breath. "Mark, you and Emma have shown me what I've been missing all these years. You've become the family I never knew I wanted. And I was wondering if you might consider, if we might try to see if there could be something more between us." Mark was stunned. He had grown to admire Catherine deeply over the past months, had even found himself thinking about her in moments when work was far from his mind, but he'd never imagined she might feel the same way. "What about the company policies? You're still technically my boss," he said, his practical side emerging even as his heart raced. Catherine smiled. "I've already spoken to HR and the board. There's no conflict as long as we disclose the relationship. And I'd never want to do anything that would compromise your position or make you uncomfortable." Their first official date was to Emma's school science fair, where her veterinary clinic business plan won first prize. As they celebrated over ice cream afterward, Mark realized that his life had transformed completely from that night he'd driven his drunk boss home. A year later, they moved into a new house together, not as lavish as Catherine's penthouse but more spacious than Mark's apartment, with a backyard for Emma and the rescue dog Catherine had helped her adopt. The company continued to thrive under Catherine's more balanced leadership approach, becoming known for its family-friendly policies and collaborative culture. On a warm summer evening, as they sat on their patio watching Emma play with the dog, Catherine turned to Mark. "Do you remember that morning when I asked why you didn't have family photos on your desk?" Mark nodded, smiling at the memory. "I was so lost then," Catherine continued. "I had everything I thought I wanted, but nothing that truly mattered. That simple question was really me asking myself why I had shut out the possibility of a family, of real connection." She reached for his hand. "One question changed everything for me. For us." Mark squeezed her hand. "Sometimes the most important questions are the ones we never thought to ask ourselves." The following Monday, Mark placed a new photo on his desk, Emma in the middle, with Mark and Catherine on either side of her, all three smiling broadly, the perfect image of a family that had found each other against all odds. Life doesn't always follow the path we expect. Sometimes it takes a crisis, a moment of vulnerability, to open doors we never knew existed. For Mark Reynolds, a simple act of kindness toward his struggling boss created a ripple effect that transformed not just his own life, but the lives of everyone around him. One question was all it took to change everything: why don't you have a family photo on your desk like everyone else? Sometimes the most profound changes begin with the simplest questions. What question might change your life today? If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories about life's unexpected turns and the beautiful connections that can form when we least expect them. Share in the comments a moment that unexpectedly changed your life. You never know who might need to hear your story today.